Croeso and welcome to Brook's information about a year of embedding youth participation into our organisation.
Hi everyone, my name is Eleanor. I am 23 years old and I've volunteered for Brook since 2017. For those of you that don't know, Brook is a national charity offering both clinical and educational sexual health services for young people. So as I said, I've been a Brook Champion since 2017, which basically means that I've been part of a group of young people giving feedback on various Brook initiatives. So for example, I've given feedback on national health guidelines and services for booking at-home sexual health tests and workshops and all sorts of things like that. I'm now going to pass over to Kelly, who's going to introduce herself.
Hi everyone, my name is Kelly Harris and I am the participation lead for Brook, and as part of my role I've got responsibility for thinking how we involve young people and adults in our work and ensuring that their voices come through in everything that we do. I'm going to hand over to Sarah.
Hi everyone, and thanks for listening to our little talk today. I'm Sarah and I'm the participation coordinator at Brook. I've worked with young people and at Brook in a number of roles over the last 10 years, predominantly working with young people in schools and different outreach settings, delivering relationships and sex education. And now I'm in a year into this really exciting role in participation, getting young people involved in our services. So we thought it'd be a really good idea today to talk a little bit about our journey into embedding participation across our organisation. So the talk today is going to have a little look at what went well for us. We're going to think about some of the lessons we learned along the way. Going to highlight some of the kind of quotes from young people about what young people have said about our participation plan. And then we're going to hand over to Eleanor, who's going to give us some top tips for implementing youth participation.
So in terms of then kind of what's gone well for us at Brook, we drew on a lot of our own personal experience at the beginning. So I have 20 years experience working with children and young people in a wide range of participation settings. So when we were tasked with thinking about how we can reinvigorate the participation work at Brook, we started to have some real kind of good conversations about how we should do it. And ultimately, it was about ensuring that young people were involved in all kind of stages and processes along the way. So on reflection over the last year, things that we felt that went really well was actually that we managed to meet with over 70 young people from across the country so that they were able to kind of be involved in it. And so we consulted when we were engaging with young people. We wanted to make sure that we had different age ranges of young people involved, and also young people from different geographical locations, and also young people from very different backgrounds as well, to ensure that, you know, the voices that we were hearing were authentic and they also had their kind of lived experiences throughout it. So with the kind of age ranges, we worked with 11 to early 20s. So they were the most representative of the age groups across the countries. And because we also are able to work with adults through our work. So that was really, really positive. We also did a lot of work internally. So it was about putting things into perspective within Brook, how we work. So we met a lot with our own colleagues who work in our education services, who work in our clinical services, and who kind of work in our more central services like our communications, because we wanted to hear from them about how they would like to be able to work and engage with young people and adults in our work. So that was really, really positive as well. And we did that to be ensure that actually we could hear what people's expectations were, and also that we could manage it effectively, so that we could embed it in the best possible way. Another part of what we also did as well was speaking with other organisations who work with young people to learn from them, to hear their stories about, you know, what kind of things work, how they engage, how frequently, how they potentially incentivise young people, how they reward young people, get the best out of young people, and, you know, the kind of impact that young people have made for their organisations. This was really, really positive for us because it was a great learning curve to actually say, right, okay, well, this will help inform this part of our work, and this will help inform that. And then ultimately, combined with the young people and adults' input into our work, we were able to kind of create a participation plan that was really engaging, and actually, again, really had the voices of young people at the heart of it. So we feel really proud of the work that we've done. It was hard. We put a lot of time and effort into it, but actually the benefit and the outcome of it was really, really positive.
Thanks, Kelly. So along the way, we learned some lessons which we thought would be useful to share with other organisations thinking about either improving their participation work or considering, embedding it into their work. And we at one point we had no choice but to invest in digital communications, and we found that this played a really exciting role with youth engagement, and lots of young people taught us new ways to engage with them as well, including things like using Mentimeter to keep it interactive when we meet with young people online. And we also realised that a lot of young people are getting kind of a bit fatigued with meeting online a lot. So we realised that we need to, give equal weight to meeting young people in person as well. And also some young people just simply don't have the access, they don't have the data. So that's an area of work that we're going to prioritise next year to make sure that we're meeting the needs of all different groups of young people. Kelly briefly touched on the idea of incentives. So when we worked with those young people at the beginning of the year, we asked young people, why have you joined the session today? And actually 70% of those young people said it's because they found it interesting, and 50% said it's because they wanted to learn more about it. Whereas just over a quarter said it was for the voucher. So sometimes we think we really need to incentivize with things like vouchers, but also just the nature of the topic of what you might be focusing on, offering training to young people. Lots of young people say the certificates can really help. So again, it's just thinking about different groups of young people and asking them what are their key motivating factors for getting involved. We find at Brook there's a lot of young people who are really, really passionate about relationships and sex education, health and well-being, and they really want to have their voices heard in our services, and that's why they like to join in and get involved in the work that we're doing. And another way that what lessons that we learned along the way were talking to other professionals who've already got established relationships with young people as well, to encourage them to get involved. A lot of young people don't realise how important it is for them to have their say. So working alongside other charities and other organisations who are working with young people helped us to meet those young people in the first place and get them involved in our work. So again, we asked young people, why is it important that young people have their say about services? And we asked all of those 70 young people at the beginning, and I just highlighted some of the quotes here from young people, from this 11-year-old person at the top who said, so services know how much they need to help young people. Whereas a lot of other young people also, they focused on the fact that, they are the next generation, they're the here and the future. So another quote was just to say, because we are the next generation, and thinking about mental health and well-being came up a lot when we spoke to young people about prioritising areas of support as well. And again, and then just thinking about someone who's a little bit older who said youth culture is constantly changing, so it's really important that representatives of different age groups have their say. So it's just really important that, whenever we start any pieces of work with young people, we're involving them from the beginning, but also we keep them involved throughout that piece of work and feed back the input and the value of how they've contributed. So I'm going to hand over to Eleanor for some top tips.
Thank you, Sarah. So just to echo what you said, I think that as a young person, getting involved in participation initiatives such as the one at Brook is a really great way to get more professional experience and to just figure out what you're passionate about and what's important to you. And I think it's helped me develop so much as an individual. And then on the other side of that, again, I think it's really important to draw on young people's experiences because, as Sarah just said, youth culture changes all the time, and decision makers are often just a lot older and therefore don't necessarily have that kind of recent first-hand experience of being a service user or being broken a student or being in school or, all of those things. So in terms of top tips, things that have worked really well on my end at Brook have been the diversity of the projects we've been involved in. I think that it's just kept it super fresh and interesting. As I said before, I've worked on a variety of different things, from giving feedback on workshops to guidelines. I think other champions have been involved in managing stands at festivals, and they've given presentations, and it's just, you know, there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of diversity in the things we're getting involved in. And further to that, we've also been able to see the contributions, the impact of our contributions. We've, whenever we brainstorm a workshop together, or we help to plan a session for young people, we often then get to come along to it afterwards, and we get to see it in action, and we get to meet the young people, and it's just really interesting to see, you know, where our work goes and how important it is. And you then really get a sense that Brook understand and appreciate our involvement, which is such a motivating factor for me, at least. Also, the participation model is really built around our availability as volunteers, and we get a lot of say in how much we want to be involved and when is good for us, and we have a real sense of ownership over our involvement with Brook. And finally, I think it's just fun. You know, it's we have a good sense of humor, we have a good relationship with the staff, and they're very supportive. And you know, I think if it's fun for you as a staff member, then it's fun for your volunteers and for your young people. And I mean, it doesn't have to be fun because we're young, but it has to be fun because there's no other reason to do it, I suppose. So to conclude, I would say just do it. Feedback can only ever really be helpful, and you know, having a diverse you know, range of voices heard on your work can only really make it better and more accessible for everyone, really. If you have any questions, or if you'd like to get in touch, then you can contact Kelly and Sarah via the email address on the screen. Thank you.